ultimately became the title of episode 19, which was Off the Bird.
It's a horrible story, and if you don't want to be upset, you should just stop listening right now.
Don't stop listening. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Come on. Don't you know when you tell people to stop listening, they listen harder?
All right. Turn down your volume.
Okay. Don't
and
listen.
Sit closer to your speaker device. Because
it's the greatest story ever.
The story begins.
Ever.
I'm sick, and I got to go to the doctor, so listen to this. I went to the doctor getting checked out because I've got pneumonia.
What?
Just out of the blue. You know, healthy.
This wasn't recently.
No, 80s. In the 80s. Okay. Healthy young guy with pneumonia. The doctor's, yes, okay, what's going on? He's asking me, you know, doctors, they ask a bunch of probing questions, see if they can triangulate and come up with something that sounds doctorly. So among the questions he asks, in a serious face, do you have a bird? And I said, yeah, I have a parakeet.
Yeah, how'd you know?
And he says, quote unquote, and I'm not going to say the doctor's name, quote unquote, off the bird.
What? That's awesome.
What are you talking about? He said, you can, certain birds, especially parakeets, and some little bit larger birds, you know, the cockatoos, cockatiels, they carry a virus that, when caught by humans, turns into pneumonia almost overnight.
That's crazy.
And I said, well, how do you know my bird has it? He said, you want to take that chance?
Yeah.
So I took that, and I'll never forget the words, off the bird.
That is fantastic.
So I go home, convince my wife, we didn't have any kids at the time, convince my wife that, you know, hey, doctor said, so how are you going to do it? I said, all right. So I fill up a bucket in the backyard.
No, you did not, Phil.
Take the bird. This is my one farm life city boy experience. I take the bird in the backyard and I hold it underwater for a 10 count.
Oh my God.
And it's done. I offed the bird. All right, so there's the story from episode.
When I was listening to this, and I'm like, you did not. I mean, you are the nicest man, Phil, and I was horrified.
I was following doctor's orders.
I was not on the podcast that day, and I was like, what? He did what? Oh, made me want to cry. And meanwhile, this one over here, Mr. Instigator, he's like guffawing in the back.
I did not.
Oh, just laughing.
I did not. I thought it was terrible, but it's still probably the greatest story
that's
ever been told.
And perhaps one of the better things that came out of the program were some of the comments that you made, Jay. I mean, before and after that, because we were talking about women with birds, and you made quite an interesting comment when you said,
"Hey, man, you know what? I will say this: I will not date a woman who has a pet bird.
Oh.
They're annoying and they're dirty."
The women or the birds?
Exactly.
Jay? What are you
Both!
Oh.
I'll be honest. Cats I can hang with. Dogs I'm totally down with.
Now, in the last few minutes, a woman with a bird has just wandered into the studio, and Jay is as red as the on-air button right now.
Who is this in our studio
Ladies and gentlemen, Jean Pichler has joined us.
Hi, Jean.
Hi,
Hello.
guys.
Hey.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
And who do you have? Is this Birdo?
We have Birdo. She just told you who she was. So she is an angry bird.
Yeah.
She is a red lord Amazon. She's about mid-50s.
An angry bird.
She
She's
is an
50
angry
years old?
bird. She's in her 50s, yeah.
So birds, if you don't kill them, can live to be 50. That bird could actually still be here, Phil.
Fantastic, Jen.
Parakeets can live to be 50?
No, I wouldn't say 50. But I have a cockatiel that, hello, Birdo. I have a cockatiel that's about 18. So,
Wow.
they can live a long life.
See, that bird could still be here.
Yeah.
This was like 30 years ago, though, right?
What kind
This
of bird
was
is it?
a
What kind of
long
bird
time
is
ago.
Birdo?
Birdo is a red lord Amazon, and the lore is like the forehead,
Yeah.
so that red part is what she's named after, and she's a legal immigrant. She has an immigration ban. Yeah, she came from Central America, and I am her at least her third owner.
Very talkative.
She is now, yeah.
Sounds a little like R2-D2.
I know she does, right? Love her.
Yeah.
So you're a dean of student affairs, is that right?
I am, but I don't have them.
Oh, you don't
Yes.
have
What?
to do
No,
chairs. You're a good
I'm the-
teacher.
yes,
You're a
yeah, I wanna be
nice
clear about
teacher.
that.
Good lady. At Mary Star of the Sea, which
Yes.
I went and spoke on Career Day a few weeks ago. When you remember, I staggered in here
Yes.
2 beers in
Because they
afterward.
have their own craft brewery at Mary Star of the
because
Sea?
I had a 2-hour gap between.
not during school hours.
Yeah, not only after class. But Jean and I are actually old friends from a couple years ago when my husband did a story on the Eagle camera that's
Right.
so popular on Catalina Island. It's almost like a reality show.
I watched that after
Very
you told
different.
me
Yeah.
about it. The Eagle Cam, and
Yeah.
here's the thing. I was checking it out, and then there's a bird, and I just assume it's the male bird because it just had beautiful plumage. And it
Right.
was sitting on the nest, I'm guessing, on the eggs.
Yeah.
And 45 minutes later, I'm watching basically that, and nothing else happening, and the feathers moving.
Right.
And then 45 minutes in, he gets up, turns around, preens around the nest a little bit with
Yeah.
his beak, and then sits now face forward to the camera because the first 45 minutes I was
You're
watching
looking at his
bird butt.
behind.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. Wait till there's little baby birds, right? That's
We
the
call
fun
those
part.
bobbleheads.
Bobbleheads.
Yes.
And then you get to watch the mama and the papa bird regurgitate disgusting things into their mouths.
Well, actually, with eagles, you're talking about eagles. They don't do the regurgitation.
Oh, wow,
They
I didn't know that.
Feed them
Oh, just the
fresh
raw.
dead meat.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
they're vicious.
They are.
Vicious, and they have sharp little beaks.
Why
and
are
talons.
there eagles on Catalina Island, which is off the California coast here, Southern California? Because we don't have eagles on the coast side. I mean, on our side, do we?
On the mainland,
mainland.
Eagles, yeah.
we would not have them. We would have them if we didn't have this development here. But we have them on the Channel Islands because they've actually been restored. They were originally there. And here in San Pedro, we had the dumping of DDT that occurred through the 1970s from the Montrose Chemical Company in Torrance.
I remember that.
That was
Yeah.
for bed bugs or something,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, they used it. Well, they used DDT. I grew up in Michigan. They used to spray the neighborhoods for
Right,
mosquitoes with
right.
DDT.
I
These
remember
big
seeing
fan
those things,
would
yeah.
come down the street.
My dad used to go out in the front yard with one of those pump things,
Right.
you
Yes.
know, and,
Yep.
and he would just spray the yard like once a month. And,
Right.
you
Isn't
know,
that what they used in Vietnam, DDT?
I don't know, but
That
I could
No, that was Agent Orange.
I could tell you my dad's not around anymore, and it may have something to do with
maybe.
Just
his,
saying.
his open and free use of every
Just
chemical
thinking.
available.
So the
It
eagle
explains a
the-
lot about San Pedro.
The
Sorry.
Eagle Cam is very interesting if you're a regular watcher, and Jean is in this group that is the
One of the chat moderators.
right,
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
and they talk about they keep an eye on the Eagles night and
Yeah.
day, and we have been talking lately about what's going on with Superman. There's this nest. Superman had an older woman named Ray.
Yes,
right?
Ray was hatched in 1986, and she was brought down here when she was merely a young chick, just a few months old, from Canada, British Columbia, actually, and Vancouver Island.
She's an expatriate bird.
Yes, and she was released on the island. She was one of the first eagles that was brought into the reintroduction program. And so she established the nest at West End, the very west end of Catalina. So if you look at the coast and look out there, you see on the far, far, far right. It's an unbelievable rocky territory out there. And so her mate is this stud named Superman.
4 years old, right?
Officially, his
Yeah.
name is his number is KO1, but we just call him Superman.
Eagle stud.
Yeah.
Yes, and Ray has been very prolific, and then dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
She disappeared in the fall, and the last that she's been seen was on October 1st.
So just a few months ago.
Yeah. And then the new woman came into the scene.
Ooh.
And she is K87, and I will tell you the chatters love to hate her. I mean, it took a long time before.
Homer.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly.
This
What
young
is
little
she-
chippy.
yeah.
She's in
Good
Ray's
for him.
nest.
Yes.
Out with the
yes.
old, in with the new.
Yeah, and Superman is all about. It's
Keeping
just
the
time.
species going.
It's just
yeah,
time.
it's-
Yeah.
but I mean, this is
Yeah.
the season now. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Dude,
Egg laying.
What do you expect?
That's right.
So she's the
I am
new-
Superman.
She's the new queen of the roost, so to speak.
Well, so to speak. She will never be the queen in the way that Ray was. And
Right.
honestly, as old as Ray is, she would be 28 this year if she's still alive. And there's a question. She's never been found. So the suspicion is she's passed on to the Rainbow Bridge, as they say.
Yeah.
But there's an older eagle on the island, a female, and she's 2 years older than Ray, so she's approaching 30, which is pretty good for a wild eagle.
I hope Ray comes back and there's a chick fight.
Yeah,
we were sort of hoping for that because
it keeps the suspense up.
Right.
Yeah.
she actually shared the nest a few years ago before Superman was there with another male, and so there were 2 females and 1 male, and they laid 5 eggs.
3 of them?
And well, the 2 ladies laid the eggs,
right,
but
but
yeah.
wow.
And they raised 3 of them to hatching, and the 2 females were like sisters. They were released at the same time, and they just did the mom thing.
Wow.
That'll ruffle some feathers.
Big time.
So,
How long you had that in the cannon there, Phil?
It was almost a non sequitur. But Mary, I want to ask you. Gene.
I'm Gene. That's okay.
Yeah,
I work at
Mary's-
Mary Star.
yeah,
That's all right.
exactly.
Gene from Mary Star.
Mary's
Eagle
Jesus'
Watcher.
mother.
Next,
Yes.
he'll call you Birdo.
That-
Don't be offended.
that's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
All right. The whole idea that my doctor said to me. I mean, had you had a chance to look that up or think about it? Is it possible
Oh,
that
she already knew all
that
about
the
this,
doctor
right?
had a clue
Yeah.
that a parakeet could carry some virus that would
The
give a human adult the pneumonia? Is that possible?
When Jen told me that story, the first thing I said was, when did this happen? And she said, it's like 30 years ago. I said, well, people didn't know things then. I mean, there was a lot of suspicion that, that birds carried all kinds of diseases, and
My doctor didn't know anything.
That's
Didn't
kind
know.
of
That's what she
it.
just
But
said.
you know what?
Your doctor,
However-
sir, is an idiot.
However, in your slight defense,
Yes.
Very slight.
yes, they do have dander, and you could have had an allergy, but I do not think that they cause you to have pneumonia. However, I will say, counting to 10 with a bird in your hand and a bucket of water
Is what?
pretty egregious.
Yeah.
What
so,
else- what
so
else
how
would I
many of
gonna
how
do?
many of Phil's
10 doesn't
fingers
seem
do you
long
think
enough.
Birdo could bite off if you just let
I have a series
Birdo
of
out?
scars
Yeah, see,
from
check that out.
Birdo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
she will take a chunk out of you.
That's no messing around.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
No.
I mean, I don't know what else you would recommend for offing the bird as the doctor prescribed,
but you could have taken your bird to a nice animal shelter or
A sanitarium?
veterinarian
or a park.
Well,
Yes.
Jay, I do recall that you had a suggestion as to how to
Just
deal
to let it
how
go?
to deal with
Well, then
birds.
you have that-
and I happen to have a
got his
recording of it
soundboard. I don't
right
know
here.
if I like
Are
this
you sure?
idea.
Yeah, just here. Listen to this. This was Jay's suggestion.
I will snap your little neck. Done.
I think that might have been out of context, Phil.
No, that was in context. I was there.
I have officially been taken out of context.
Yeah, and we
That is
laughed over
terrible,
it. The
yes.
end of that, you say,
No.
done.
Done. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's one thing to take an animal out.
Yeah.
Quick, painless. You made it suffer.
That was terrible. Terrible and egregious.
Well, I'm just
yes.
saying there's better options than drowning it. You can
Yeah.
snap its neck. You can shoot it. You can let it go.
Or you let it go.
or you can take
or
it to
you
a shelter.
Take it to, or if for some reason,
or give it to Mary Star of the Sea.
That's right.
Did they have
If for
parakeet
some-
shelters in the 1980s?
No, and they, very few people knew what to do with the bird. So if you were
It's true.
in a situation today, and I've had to have a bird put down due to
You
illness,
feed it Alka-Seltzer?
you take it to an avian vet, and they humanely euthanize the bird.
See?
Yeah.
There's more ways.
Yeah.
Now, but there
Now.
weren't.
There
There
weren't.
weren't.
Yeah.
So
It's not an excuse, Phil.
I did not dislike the bird. I will tell you that I was a little broken
Sure
up after
you
the
were.
fact.
I'm sure you were.
But I felt as though I was doing my duty.
Most murderers do feel a little remorse.
Well,
Yeah.
And
I
always
would think
return
I'm
so.
glad you
See
felt
the crime.
remorse. That
You
makes
know,
me
I
feel
was going to
better.
say, you say you wouldn't date a woman with the bird, but, my
Yep.
sister's pretty hot, and she has an African gray
Ooh, they're
parrot.
smart birds.
Yes, and her daughter
Beautiful
is
plumage.
extremely hot as well. They're
all right.
both married,
She's off
but
the
she's,
list.
and she's got a little parakeet named Spock.
Don't care.
Cockatiel.
I don't care.
Cockatiel?
You could be uber hot and be way into me, and if
Yeah.
I walk into your apartment and out of the corner I hear Polly want a cracker, I'm out.
You're out. Okay, so no birds and no.
No pigs either.
Okay. Oh yeah, my brother
Like
had a
those
pig
pop-
and a bird.
Those
See-
potbelly
Yeah, he had
pigs.
one of those, too.
Your people, you're weird.
Yeah.
I want to question your motivation, Jen, for bringing Gene here today.
I have another motivation, don't
Well,
I?
no, I do. I'm questioning your
Okay.
motivation. I'm anything if not observant.
Yes.
And
You're
I did,
nothing if not observant.
I'm nothing if not observant.
You better tread
You
very
have a
lightly right now.
dean of students here. She will.
Yes.
She will.
I'm
yeah.
the dean of academic
Okay.
affairs.
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
Intellectual
Dean of-
stuff.
Now-
I did the dean of student thing.
Now,
already.
Oh, okay.
to finish the thought on the observant thing,
Okay. Yes.
I did notice